Gang slide through the block where it's going down. Well, we don't never say a word, we just lay them down. That's on the gang, homie, shit, we never fuck around. It's blucka, homie, shit, you know we empty rounds. The shit is scanners, yeah, scanners on this side of town. So best to never speak a word or end up underground. We never let you slide, homie, this is do or die. You spread them lies, you pay the price, I mean with your demise. That's on the hood, homie, shit, we hold it down with pride. We handle business, homie, shit, we never think it twice. We busting highlights on the oppositions till they die. Cause me and all my perros always be down for the crime. That's on the block, homie, shit, you know we done alright. We catch the enemy slipping, homie. There's no rewind. Oh, now right here, we're gonna be starting off with one of the powerhouses in Los Angeles when it comes to blood Pyru sets. You know, one of the, frontline neighborhoods that you definitely hear about, that are large in number, that are ruthless, that handle business, that are well known, that, their reputation precedes them. You have the Fruittown Brims. Not to be confused with Fruittown Pyrus. Now, these are the Fruittown Brims, are obviously a Pyru blood neighborhood located right here on the west of South Los Angeles. They originated out of the Fruittown Pyrus, located in Compton, roughly around the 1970s. The Fruittown Brims are one of the most known blood gangs in South Los Angeles. In 1975, the Brims, which consisted of the 30th Street Brim, Fruittown Brims, the 40th Street Fruittown Brims, the Untouchable Brims, the Orchard Brims. They sided with the Pyrus after, one of their high-ranking members from the Pyrus was shot by a rival crib. Because the Brims played a major role when it comes to like the whole blood and Pyru history, right here in Los Angeles when it comes to these gangs that fall under the Brim umbrella, like the Harvard Park Brims, like the Van Ness gangster Brims, the Brim family, because there's several Brims. And the Fruittown Brims, like I said, they ruthless. And the reason why it's called Fruittown is because all the streets were named after fruits. You know what I mean? Like all the streets are like named after fruits. So that's how they got their name. Fruittown. If people were wondering. Now the Harvard Park Brims and the Van Ness gangster Brims. That's what makes up the Brim family. Their main rivals are the West Side Rolling 30 Harlem Crips. The two gangs have been feuding for over more than 20 years, my boy, and with all kinds of bloodshed and everything like that, the whole rivals of all the Rollings, like Rolling 30s, Rolling 50s, Rolling 60s, Rolling 90s, all them Crips that they beef it with, man. They it be on and cracking. And they got a few rappers out of here, you know what I mean? You guys could go check them out right here on YouTube. They got a few music, they get down. But yeah, the Fruittown Brims, man, is one of the most known neighborhoods right here. Like I said, it's a powerhouse when we were talking about Pyrus and blood sets. And these guys ain't no joke, homie, and continue to represent and hold it down, stronger than ever. They be right there still maintaining. The neighborhood is around the Vermont area that stretches to Jefferson Boulevard to 38th Street. The cliques consist of 35th Street, 36th Street, 37th Street, 38th Street, that fall all under the Brim umbrella, like I said. But that's their territory, where they handle business, where it be on and cracking, and where you can still catch them. Now, right here, we have one of the neighborhoods that doesn't really get brought up all that often and gets confused with several other neighborhoods. You have the 46 Neighborhood Crips. Now, the 46 Neighborhood Crips, also known as the 4-6 Neighborhood Crips, are one of the longest standing African-American street gangs right there in South Los Angeles, right in South Central. They originated out of the west side of South Central, like roughly around the late 60s, early 70s is when they were around and formed and everything like that. And they fall under the Neighborhood Crips, so they fall under the Deuces. The Neighborhood Crips, they get confused a lot with like the 46 Top Hustler Crips and the Rolling 40 Crips. But like I said, the 46 Neighborhood Crips is its own gang. It has no ties to the Hustler Crips nor to the Rolling 40s. You know what I mean? I know that they often get confused, but they got no ties with none of them sets. They're their own neighborhood. You know what I mean? And right here now we got the TGC neighborhood, which stands for the Trouble Gangster Crips, also known as Trouble Gang or Trouble Halldale Crips, formerly known as Nothing But Trouble. MBT, not to be confused with the Hispanic one. This was an African American clique, but that was their name before they changed it to what they are now. And they are located on the west side of South Los Angeles. The Trouble Gangster Crips fall under the Gangster Crip, or also known as the Moving Gang. You know what I mean? The Trouble Gangster Crips originated as Nothing But Trouble, and were originally known as a tagging crew in the early 1990s. Nothing But Trouble eventually turning Crips after, multiple conflicts with surrounding neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? You already know how it goes, homie. It starts getting start pressing you, and you got no choice but to press back, and it gets chaotic, homie. They established right there on 51st Street and Halldale Avenue between Western and Vermont. Vermont. That is where they established their hood, planted their flag, and, decided to hold it down. Now, the Trouble Gang, they have made headlines several times, you know what I mean? For all kinds of shit, you know what I mean? They handle business, you know what I mean, with murders and all kinds of shit, this shit ain't no joke, These guys, they definitely be making the news for handling business, you know what I mean? Now, the Trouble Gangster Crips are close allies with the 52nd Hoover Gangster Crips. This allies is sometimes called the 5150 or the 512 or the 51 Deuce. You know what I mean? They got different ways of writing it. It's just how, it's how it goes. Now, both of them share a hatred towards the neighborhood Crips, especially the 55th neighborhood Crips, and also the 57 neighborhood Crips. So you could already know, why they be tag teaming. You know what I mean? It'd be crazy. They're also rivals with the East Coast Crips, with the East, with all the East Coast Crips, like the 59, 66, 67, 68, and all of that. Like I said, a lot of Crips sets tend to beef it with each other out here. That's just how it goes, kind of like the suit does. Just because it's so old school, so large, egos clash and it'd be hectic. But nonetheless, Trouble Street still representing, holding it down for the Trouble Gangster Crips right there. All right, and here we have another one of the well-known Piru gangs in this area, blood gangs. You have the Van Ness Gangster Brims. Van Ness Gangster Brims are also known as VNG, or also known as the Rolling 50 Brims, the R50 Brims. Our neighborhood that's located right here on the west of South Los Angeles. In the neighborhood, which consists of Slauson between Western and Crenshaw. They are named after the popular residence street in LA called, Van Ness Avenue. Obviously, where everybody cruises and everything like that. Van Ness gangsters consist of several cliques, such as like the 51st Street, 52nd Street, 54th Street, 57th Street. These cliques are, in the 50 streets is the reason why they're known as the Rolling 50s, rolling throughout the whole 50 streets. They fall under the Brim umbrella, you know what I mean, which, along with the Fruitown Brims and the Harvard Park Brims, Brims, that's the ally that makes up the Brim family. Their main rivals are, the Rolling 60 Neighborhood Cribs, the Rolling 40 Cribs, the Rolling Harlem Cribs, the Rolling 40 Cribs, almost all the Rolling Sets, the Neighborhood Cribs, especially the 55th Cribs, 52nd, 57, 58, 59. They also beef it with Hispanic gangs like 18th Street, White Fins, MS, and all of that. Like I said, man, the Van Ness, man, it's on it cracking right there. These guys are always in the midst of action, never fold, you know what I mean? Handle their business, and it's one of the more active sets right here that you see always in the mix, homie, you know what I mean? You always hear about these guys being in the mix, well, because of all the chaos that's around that area, with so many neighborhoods just jam-packed right there like sardines, shit be cracking and popping off all over the damn place, you know what I mean? But the Van Ness, you know what I mean? They handle business, homie, and continue to do so right there. All right, and here we have one of the most recognized neighborhoods that people often hear about and are curious about. You have the Hoover Gangster Crips, or known now as the Hoover Criminals. But this is they have sub cliques between the Hoover Criminals have sub cliques, that are sub gangs, you know what I mean, under their umbrella, you know what I mean, and one of them being the 52nd Hoover Gangster Crips is the one that I'm covering right here, because the Hoover criminal gang is large a more larger neighborhood in its own. I'll give it its own episode. You know what I mean? Because we have to dive into a lot of stuff, a lot of information. But to give the runaround version right here, for the 52nd Hoover Gangster Crips, obviously, you know, still sport blue and orange. You know what I mean? They still affiliate themselves with the blue color. Even though there's war between the Hoover criminals and like Crips, and they claim anybody killer and everything like that. You know, there's some sets that fall under the umbrella, but they're cool with Crips and etc. Now the Hoover criminals obviously had been around long way before the Crips even started. Before there was Crips and Bloods, the Hoover criminals were already around. Well, back then they were known as the Hoover Groovers. You know what I mean? And then they, you know, eventually ended up dropping the Groover part and changed it to Crips. And then when they fitted with the Crips, they changed it to Criminals. And like I said, it'll get its own episode where I discuss all of that. But the 52nd Hoover Gangster Crips are obviously located right here in Hoover and 52nd. The colors are orange and blue. You know what I mean? That's why when people be like, "What, aren't they orange? They're not blue no more." Whoa. Well, you know what I mean? This is a sub clique that just falls under their umbrella, kind of like the neighborhood or the rolling and all of those neighborhoods do. But the 52nd, you know, they're a decent sized neighborhood. They're one that you do see up. They're one of the cliques that, you know, front and center, that's still remaining active and continue to represent theirs. You know what I mean? For the Hoover Crips right there, and continue to put theirs on the map. You know what I mean? But that's what's up with the Hoover 52nd Hoover Crips, Gangster Crips right there.